Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me. There's a lot of things that happened since Trump and the Republican Party embraced Trump and decided that Trump was a role model that we're supposed to have. And it's Trump's ethics that we're supposed to run the country by. And I'll just remind you that as a Republican, we always said that the White House was much more than just an executive's office. It was the heart and soul of the nation and what it represented. I made an ad 2000 when Bush ran saying that you should be able to look at the White House with honor and dignity. That was after Bill Clinton, which seems pretty quaint today. So you've probably been following how Trump administration is gloating over the assassination of some supposed drug dealers. J.D. Vance, killing cartel members, supporting our fellow citizens, the highest and best use of our military. Okay, so that's the U.S. policy now. So it kind of raises an interesting question. The Secretary of State of the United States right now, Marco Rubio, his brother-in-law was one of these cartel dealers. A narco, Cuban-born, narco cartel dealer, convicted, felon, front man for a drug operation. Now, we don't know the particulars of how they went through this smuggling operation, but say it was Marco Rubio's brother-in-law, and he was in a boat. So we're saying that his brother-in-law should have been assassinated? Really? Is that our policy now? This guy, Orlando Cecilia, he ran this drug dealing operation apparently out of the house where Marco Rubio was living. I mean, just kind of wrap your mind around that. So, you have to think about, is this really the policy we have? We went back in time, then this Marco Rubio's brother-in-law wouldn't have married his sister, wouldn't have lived at home with him, wouldn't have been part of his family. I mean, I guess that's the policy now. I guess that's what we've decided. I mean, I would think somebody should ask Marco Rubio if it was a mistake that his own brother-in-law wasn't assassinated, I suppose is the word, by the United States without a trial or any kind of conviction. So this is the world we're in now. And I'm as hard as anybody can be on going after drug dealers. As a Republican, I made a million ads about it. But we also made a million ads about supporting the Constitution. And it just seems to me that there's this pattern here that this is a perfect example of. If you took a group of very insecure men, kind of boy men, and who had all these problems about masculinity and are they tough enough? And are they really like men? And put them in charge of the United States government. Put a guy like Pete Hegseth, put the town drunk who, fighting the battle every day for the battle of his pocket square every day, who now wants to be called we're going to call it the Department of War. Does anybody really want to go to war with Pete Hegseth? I mean, if you were like in high school and you were in the back lot of the Crystal parking lot on Friday night and you were getting in a fight, would you really feel better if Pete Hegseth was on your side? I mean, this scrawny little drunk? I don't think so. And then you have, Stephen Miller. Round them up. And apparently now it's this new Supreme Court order that says it's fine if you got a deep tan, maybe look Hispanic. If you're shopping in a Home Depot, you better run from your car to the Home Depot and back, because if you're hanging out in front of the Home Depot and you kind of maybe look Hispanic, one of these masked ICE thugs who may or may not be a convicted drug dealer himself. We have no idea who these people are. We have no idea how they've been trained. We have no idea if they're U.S. citizens. We have no idea if they're criminals. So you better run to Home Depot and hurry back, or I suppose maybe you could ask like a really white person to go to Home Depot for you. And this is what, this makes Stephen Miller feel like a big guy. And if you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and Google Stephen Miller in high school. He's a freak. There's a clip of him when he's at Santa Monica High School getting booed off the stage because he's on this crazy rant about how the janitors are expecting the students to actually pick up trash and how wrong that is. This is the guy now? Really? Does anybody in the world want to be Stephen Miller? Does anybody in the world want to be Pete Hegseth? Does anybody in the world want to be Donald Trump? I mean, this Doug from Queens. So I think we have to ask these questions now, because this is where we are. And it's not about them. It's about the Republican Party, because the Republican Party said this is fine. It's fine if you have a RFK Jr., a guy who's former heroin addict, which, we accept addiction. People so he's not a reformed. He brags about how heroin helped him and how he'd still be doing it if it was good for him. That's the guy, really? The guy that's like heroin, it worked for me? That's really the guy? A guy who has done enough steroids to alter the outcome of the next 20 Super Bowls? I mean, you want to know why the guy was so weird when he's sitting there in that hearing and couldn't stand still, so angry, wouldn't let anybody finish? It's because he's jacked up on steroids, among other reasons. There's a clear case of roid rage. They should have put him under oath, as it was suggested. They also should have given him a drug test before he testified. And that's the guy who's in charge of our health now. So let's ask those questions, and let's remember that it doesn't have to be this way, and this really isn't who we are. And personally, I'm glad that Marco Rubio's brother-in-law was arrested, prosecuted, and is able to go and live a normal life now. That's the way it's supposed to work. So thanks. Thanks for joining, and see you down the road.